Thames, we've got Jessica Eastwood, Sarah Carlotti, Amy Gibson and Ione Casley in that Thames crew, which are still in the lead, and the composite crew from Aberdeen School.
Oh, now let's be careful here though, because the crews are coming extremely close together here. This is very close. This composite have probably been warned to move over to their bank, and it's going to cost them a lot in metres. Thames just keeping their course straight, keeping it true. But it was the Scotch crew. They might have to just readjust again to make sure they're straight.
Yeah, they're back online.
Risky moves that there from the composite.
Right, let me just finish off the name checks for those ladies from Scotland. Heather Gordon, Laura Mackenzie, Megan Hewson and Abigail Top from the Scottish composite crew. But as they go past the commentary box, it's Thames that I've got about half a boat length in the lead. It does look like that composite crew are claiming back some of that lead that Thames have got, so they're challenging and putting the pressure on to Thames. Let's see if Thames can maintain that lead that they've eked out so far as they get to the barrier, and it's very closely matched, I think.
It is. It's incredible they have actually only lost that much distance. They only lost about a third of a length, I'd say, the composite crew, when in that steering correction. They've actually been done very well to stay with them up to this point. See the bucket rig from Thames sending them away. They're keeping that rate extremely high even at this point.
Yeah. So maybe they have got that endurance, the depth there,
even about,
to pull this back.
About 40 strokes a minute from the Thames crew as they come. They're getting a warning now. That's the third warning that we've seen already in this race.
Yeah,
which is quite astonishing to see.
I think that just goes to show how difficult it is steering these boats, and also you've got 4 people rowing. These boats are going at quite a pace, so you know if you oversteer in one direction, then before you know it you're heading towards the other crew or a boom. So thank goodness the umpire is there to keep an eye on the safety of these crews. I think more than anything they don't want to damage their boats, do they?
Absolutely,
they love their boats.
Well, they are such very valuable pieces of equipment that we're looking at here. Talking about thousands of pounds, but these crews make them work. I don't know if you put on pound per kilometre or pound per medal, especially in Thames' case.
Someone should do an analysis.
Actually, that would be great. I'd love to see that. The Deloitte rowing analysis value or something like that. That would be great.
And I'm sat here next to a geek. No. Anyway, let's look back on the water, and a great shot there of Thames. And we've got the composite crew from Scotland looking like they are really putting the pressure on. Look at that, digging deep, the grit on those faces. I think that's a challenge that we can see going on. Difficult to see from this angle. Have they gained anything over the Thames crew?
Well, it's a very good question. I think we might get an answer coming up. They are coming towards the closing stages of this race. I think we should stay with this one. It's looking extraordinarily close they come up towards the finish line. They might be starting to put a move in. The rate's gone right up, and Thames, their steering's being questioned now, and they have another warning.
Yeah.
The composite crew are keeping that pressure on as they come into these final 20 or 10 strokes now. Goodness me, the rate's gone right up there from Thames, and they're pushing it all the way here. They've responded to the move from the composite, who are keeping the race up high.
What
Thames
a race.
Putting it in all the way. They've had to work so far. They've worked really hard. This crew, Champion 4 winners at Wallingford, second again. They know all about performing under pressure. Just seeing the Aspirational Academic 8s underneath you. If we could just stay with the Aspirational Club 4s, it's really going to go down to the wire. You can see some of the crew looking over to their right. Have they managed to stay ahead of them as they come up to the finish line now? They are going to do it.
Close.
What a great race that was. 3/4 of a length.
Fantastic.
Fully deserved.
Fantastic.
Brilliant rowing there from Thames, giving each other a high five, and you can see the agony from the bowwoman of the composite. She knows how close they came to a place in the final against Tideway Scullers School.
They should be proud to get this far. Is pretty amazing.
Absolutely.
Anyway, so on the water now, as you say, we've got the Aspirational Academics, Oxford Brookes on the Berkshire Station, and Oxford University Women's Boat Club on the Buck Station.
We're being treated to a derby.
It's a local derby. No fighting.
No rules yet. But these ones keeping very close. And it is Oxford Brookes at the moment who has taken the early lead in this one, as we're seeing. They go past Temple Meadows. What a great start from the people. We know the presence of Oxford Brookes at these events is, well, it's paramount.
Yeah, exactly. And just hearing the name can be quite intimidating. Although I think probably not for Oxford University Women's Boat Club. But both these crews to be reckoned with. They're just approaching the commentary box now, and Oxford Brookes. I've got over a boat length lead from Oxford University Women's Boat Club. Going strong. Look at that timing. The boat is running so well underneath the crew. Cox just looking over at the other boat just to make sure that they're keeping their lead and there's no challenge coming up to sneak up on them.
Absolutely. This is a brilliant rate, rating 38 and pushing away from the Oxford Uni women at 36. Actually, 6 of the reserve crew from the Osiris crew from the 2019 boat race are featuring in this race, in this crew that we're seeing today. 7 of these women learned to row at Oxford, and I believe we are looking at the top 8 here for Oxford Brookes University. So a real battle of the top we're seeing here.
Yeah, we get some really top-class athletes at Henley Women's Regatta, and it is so good to see, especially when the races are as close as this and so well contested. It's absolutely worth the journey to come and compete or to come and spectate. A fantastic day to watch some very high level racing on the river this afternoon.
And you can see them just putting the power down, all finding the catches together, all finding the finish together, sending that boat. That's another thing I love seeing as well. You see just the tiniest lift in the boat out the water, and you know that they are really flying.
They are pushing that boat, yeah. And
again, it's now for 2.5, 3 lengths now as they go past the regatta enclosure.
Oxford Brookes very much in control here. And they make it look so easy, but that is countless hours, days, weeks, months of getting up early, getting yourself down to the boat club and getting onto the water in all sorts of weather conditions, and working with your teammates, building that trust, that rapport, doing your own bit in the boat, but making sure that you're rowing with everybody else in the crew. And for some people, that's the hardest thing to do, in which case they should become single scullers. but rowing together, it's a lot harder than it looks, I think.
It is. It has, yeah, like I say, a lot of trust, and you have to just match them perfectly for everything that they're doing, like you say.
Yeah.
But they are doing that right now. And you see as well the sharpness of those finishes when they come out, and they just all. Because if you're not new to rowing, when the blade is like that, as you see it, it's square, and then when it's flat, it's feathered. When it goes from square to feather like that, all at the same time, in perfect unity, you know that these girls have spent a huge amount of time, and they deserve to be where they are right now, in control of this race against these Oxford University women.
Yeah, they'll be very happy with their performance so far. Obviously, they've got to see it through to the end, but it looks increasingly unlikely that Oxford University Women's Boat Club can catch them, but they're putting in a very nice performance, looking like a very disciplined crew there as well. Some good competition for Oxford Brookes.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, looking very good here.
And just underway now, we've got the second semi-final of these Aspirational Academics 8s with Newcastle University A on the Berkshire Station against Durham University on the Bucks Station. So they are just passing through Temple Island. The trees are in the way, so we can't see who's in the lead at this point.
Oh, those pesky trees.
The drone is wonderful, but not through trees.
It has been great to see. It is wonderful. We are very lucky to have these angles that we have from the drone and the angles that it provides.
I think Henley Women's was one of the first regattas to start using drones, so they are leading the technology.
But there's no view like right next to the boat, as we're seeing right here as Newcastle go flying past up Temple Meadows, and they've just stormed out to a lead here, maybe even a length and a half or so. But they have just stormed right out.
A very good start there on Durham. Durham are playing catch up now as they settle down into the race. You can see them approaching the commentary box there in the top of your picture. Cox just making a slight adjustment on Newcastle's direction of travel there. And so Cox trying to control the crew, put out the right calls that they'll all know, and steer the boat. You've got 8 people rowing. This is flying down the course.
Absolutely.
Just about to come past us.
Interesting to see as well. They're sticking very rigidly to their boom, even though they've got clear water. Maybe that's an indication of how they're using the stream here. As we said before, at this point in the race, we are right on the left bank of the River Thames. But then as you get towards the regatta enclosure and the finish line, you're going towards the middle. So the stream does get affected, so it might be better. And we might see them actually start to move out towards the middle as they come towards the second half of the race. But Durham still playing hard. Lots of work to do. Great 37. Still a lot to do to catch up at this point.
Yeah. Yeah, and that stream will be fairly strong at this point because we've had a lot of rain in the Thames Valley over the last couple of days. It does take a few days to come down to this point. I row at Marlow, and there's usually a lag of 2 or 3 days, so they'll be feeling it as they go down the course, particularly the Durham crew who are further out into the middle of the stream. They'll be pushing harder.
Absolutely, yes. It's a lot to do. I remember talking to one of the guys yesterday, I think when there was a huge amount of rain at the Henley Regatta, and it came all the way down the stream. So when it got to the finish line, you essentially gained about half a length right towards the end, which would be beyond the finish of this race. But it does show how much difference it makes, especially at this level where every single detail counts.
It does. It's so close that everything gets tweaked. But these crews, both crews will have been training in all weather. They will understand the effect of the stream. And also, there's not much wind today, but the wind is often will have more effect on the boat than the stream. But today I think there's so little wind at the moment, it's probably the stream that they're going to have to contend with.
Well, speaking of wind, someone who's breezing along right now are that Newcastle crew. They are down at rate 24. They are putting on a show for the fans here at Henley Women's Regatta 2019. Slightly overcast, but it's a wonderful day of rowing that we've seen. Had a wonderful morning. The finals to come in the next, well, we'll be seeing them in the next hour or so, actually, the finals. I can't believe we're there already.
I know. It's like, let's just do some name checks for Newcastle University. Eleanor Ancliffe, Siobhan Samuel, Frances Munro, Katie Ann Claridge, Anna Vander Brack, Charlotte Brown, Eve Larson, Jennifer Peacock and Natasha Banks in that Newcastle University A crew.
They're looking very good there. Can see them. Well, it's interesting to see that some of them have gone for the Under Armour. One braving it out, braving the weather. The bow woman at the back. But they're looking very, very good here. Everything else in unison. You can see the Durham crew there, just further behind, still putting their best in.
They are. Durham, we've got Gabrielle Keblite, Georgia Wynyard, Megan Connolly, Camilla Keaton, Casey Jobling, Rachel O'Connor, Isabella Roper, Maya Nikituk and Hannah Adams in that Durham crew, playing catch-up, but looking unlikely that they're going to be able to catch the Newcastle University crew.
Looking very, very good there. I'm just seeing how I always enjoy these kind of displays. Although you can get caught out though when you do these kind of. I remember, well, I can only comment when I was racing. I remember did Henley years ago, where we raced Eton in the second round. They decided to try and sit on us for about 2 lengths. We decided to put in a push of rate 40 for the last 300 metres. We only ended up losing by half a length, so we were. But it can get caught out, but that's certainly not happened here to the Newcastle women, who just sail across the line, beat it, and they will secure their place in the final against Oxford Brookes University. And what a final that's going to be. That
is going to be a fantastic final. We've got lots of good races to look ahead to this afternoon. Meanwhile, we've got another semi-final. Has it started yet?
They are just setting up on the line here. The junior quads are what we're seeing here. So the junior quadruple sculls for the B Language Trophy just got started there. Good start from Headington on the left of your picture, and Marlow on the right. But Marlow's just getting the better of it there and just lengthening out and getting those first 10 strokes in quickly ahead of the Headington crew there. Good start from them.
So both these crews will be putting in a really good performance. Of course, Marlow just a few miles downstream of the course here, and looking like they are getting a great start here. They're just coming to the end of the island. Headington School, we would expect a good performance from those young ladies too. Let's see how it pans out. So Marlow just sneaking ahead there by canvas, maybe a quarter of a boat length from their start. It looks like they've headed over into the centre of the course, so they are just adjusting to get a little bit nearer to their boom on that side. Headington also zigzagging a tiny bit as they are going into the booms here. But Marlow have got the advantage at the moment.
Yeah, Grove Crews jostling for the water there, trying to edge themselves out to get the best advantage possible. But you can see in there 16 blades all going in, battling each other out. I do really enjoy watching quadruple sculls. I think it's a marvellous thing. You get some real speed going in those quads. If you get it right, you can get some. It's one of those things. If you get it wrong, it just stops in its track. When you get it right, it can absolutely fly, and that's what both of these crews are doing. But Marlow, of course, be finalists at National Sculls Regatta, and these are the reigning champions for the Diamond Jubilee last year. So they have a big title to uphold, and they are doing that with strong contenders here as well. And here they come past our commentary position. Ooh, I don't know if they've got clear water yet, though.
I don't think they have got clear water. I don't think much changed, actually. If anything,
it's basically
Marlow are now
on.
pulling away. They have now got clear water, I believe. Marlow putting a little bit of pace on their boat now, pulling away from Headington School.
Almost,
not much in it.
Almost spot on a length there between the two crews as the drone comes past. See the water.
Nice
water. Going up to the enclosures now. It is lovely water. It's a place to be on a Sunday afternoon in June, I think, down at Henley. But as the crews come up to the Regatta enclosure where the crowds will be cheering them on, it is Marlow just holding, probably, perhaps you might argue, a steadier rhythm, perhaps. But there's not going to be much between the two straight rates here. Marlow just pushing themselves ahead. Second at Wallingford and Met Regatta. It's third at Met Regatta this year. It's rate 35 that they're holding. But you can see the girls there. You can see Tara Brogan and Katia Robbins, the bow pair there. And coming into view will be the stern pair, Emma Dabinet and Eve Lombardo. You can see there, Eve Lombardo setting the stroke rate there. She's the one that makes it happen. And then you got the engine room, the two in the middle and the bow, looking after the steering, or maybe somebody else's. And then on to their left, you see coming at the right of your picture are the Headington Scullers up in the northwest, third at National Sculls Regatta this year. So quite an interesting. Well, it's certainly the top of the division. And you can see our second semi-final starting there. Two of these crews will be facing each other in the final.
So we've got the Tideway Scullers School on the Berkshire station getting off to a very fast start there, looking very tidy. And Henley Rowing Club over on the Buck station. So they'll be going under the trees as they pass by Temple Island. Both crews getting their boats moving as fast as they can, trying to get a good start and get the psychological advantage as they come out of the end of Temple Island. And meanwhile, we've got Marlow, a great picture there of Marlow still going strong, looking like they're holding their lead over Headington School. You can see the number 2 in their boat. There's usually one very vocal crew member. I think is it Katia?
I think that would be Katia.
Yeah,
she is.
And she's keeping them all motivated and shouting at them to dig deep and all the way to the end. So, but you've got to have that. You've got to have it. It's going to be hurting at this point. So
it's an incredible skill to have, and you have to have full admiration for them. Headington are keeping up the pressure. They're taking that race up though at the finish. You might want to stick with this one at the finish. But Marlow responding in kind as well. They're trying to take her out. And actually, Headington are moving across. It might mean they're actually starting to get some length up here on the Marlow.
Yeah.
If we can return to the finish here, it might be a really interesting one to see. Okay. Oh, goodness me, the rates come up from Headington. We'll see where they're at.
I think so. Oh, look at that.
Goodness me. And they go up probably about 39.
They're looking so fresh.
They're 39. Wow, they've just suddenly revitalised themselves. But Marlow just keeping the barrel there in front. They have responded here. And it's probably going to be about half a length by the end of the race here as they come through. That's good finish there.
Real cat and
big
mouse. Shout
as well from Katia. She knew she had to urge her girls on there, and she did that really well. But now let's return back to the Temple Meadows, where the other semi-final, see who will face Marlow is taking place, and it looks like Tideway Scullers at the moment. Yeah,
Tideway Scullers just going past us here and pulling away to a boat length lead from Henley Rowing Club on the Buck station. Tideway Scullers looking very strong, but all got their heads up, nice, straight, upright posture there. Very clean blade work that we can see from them, looking very much in control of this race. Henley Rowing Club won't want to let them get away with it, though, so they'll have something in the bag to pull out any moment now, I'm sure.
Absolutely, they are staying in touch. This is a wonderful thing I've seen about Henley before. I think I remember this happening I mean, one of the first Diamond Jubilee trophies when Henley were there, I think up against Camphor, I think it was. They just hang on to the bows. It's one of the best ways to row a regatta race. Just hang on to your opposition in front of you. Wait for them to tire. Just wait for your right moment to strike.
Yeah.
It's a race. It's not always.
Yeah.
It's a very tactical sport.
It is.
As we said already today.
It's not just the strength. And sometimes that element of surprise, like I was very surprised that Headington had it in them in that last race to up their rate so much. They look like they were brand new to the race. They're so fresh, so much energy and sprightly coming back into it. Sometimes that element of surprise can just knock your opponents off psychologically and give you that advantage. So we use everything at our disposal in rowing to try and win the race.
We really do.
We
do our best. We do within the rules.
We hope we're in the rules.
Well, we are. Well, the umpires keep us well on track for that. They've been doing a cracking job here.
Yeah.
But right now, still close. Tideway Scullers still moving. 5th at National Schools Regatta, this crew. 2nd at Met. Rode through Surbiton actually earlier this morning, which we saw today. That was a really strong performance. And it's just showing, I think the best word for it is character, which is what I said before. It takes a lot of character, a lot of mentality to do something like that, and then and then sit in front of Henley on their own water. This. The winners, probably the dominant crew this year in this division. 1st at National Schools Regatta, Met Regatta, Wallingford, Scullery, won Junior 16s back last year. This is a very strong Henley crew, and Tideway are sitting in front of them. Yeah,
so they won't be settling for that, but Tideway showing some really good depth and resilience, mental resilience here, as you say. They're on the home turf of their opponents in this race, but they're not letting that faze them at all. They're taking the race at the moment, and Henley have got to come back with something if they're going to change those positions at the moment.
Yes, they are. Well, they are coming up now. I mean, how time flies. They are coming up to the Upper Thames, which means they're coming into the last sort of 20 strokes now. And the rate has gone up from Tideway Scullers School. They are pushing this out, and they're going right there. But Henley have gone with them as well. They've pushed their rate up again. Let's see if we can get some measurements on this. And we're going to go now, and I think it's about 41 that they're at, Henley. They are pushing Tideway right to the finish line here. But Tideway are responding. What brilliant resolve that they have. And they're going to win by just over half a length. Superb work from Tideway Scullers to reach the final of the Junior Quadruple Sculls for the B. Language Trophy to race Marlow. And if these two semi-finals are anything to go by, this final is going to be an absolute cracker.
Fantastic race tactics in both those semi-finals. The crews were just holding back until the finish line was in sight, and then the rate went right up. So it'll be interesting to see in the final if that's going to be the same race tactics that these crew deploy for that race.
And to do it against Henley, who have, as we said earlier, done so well this year, is a fantastic. But let's return straight back to Temple Island, where the Junior Double Sculls first semi-final has just kicked off for the Rayner Cup. And then in the Berkshire side, on your left of your picture, we can see Sir William Perkins School, and on the right we can see Notts County Rowing Association in their green, yellow versus green. whatever that means. But they are a bit close to the boys here. The William Perkins, they might have to watch out here, but I think they are just adjusting themselves in time now. A risky game there, some may say.
And oversteered then to the middle of the course there from William Perkins. Both these crews are having real challenges with their steering as they come off the end of Temple Island. Let's hope that they can settle down and find their line as they come into Temple Meadows, and that looks a little bit more settled, although William Perkins still very much in the centre. It is so hard for these crews, and they're junior crews, so
it is in a way it's all new to them, and some of them might have been here before, but this is news to them. Someone might be doing this race for the first time, but they have been racing throughout the summer, throughout the winter as well in the head races. They know all about how to manage courses, but they are doing very well here. We're looking at the lead on the left there is Sir Williams Perkins, Emily Keane and Ella Iowade of Sir Williams Perkins, 6th at National Schools Regatta, 2nd in the GBV France trials. And they got a win in the double in the Nat Championships last year. So a very confident pair. And then in Nottingham County, we see Mia O'Donnell and Olivia Bates just trying to keep within touching distance. But you get the feeling that William Perkins maybe just inch by inch
Yeah, they look like they're getting a longer stroke in, getting more power through the stroke. Notts County look like they're picking a little bit at the water, but let's see how they go. At the moment, it looks like William Perkins have got the advantage and looking quite comfortable and smooth in their stroke, so they feel like they're in control. They're looking good. They're just pulling away to a boat length lead now over the Notts County boat.
They are, I think, just still not clear water yet, but about 3/4. May just edge out, though, as they go past Barn Bar, which is the end of about a third of the way through this race. We're seeing them some good confidence. Of course, Notts County had a difficult race earlier today. Silver did win the silver, though, in the championship double sculls at the National Schools Regatta. With the winners not competing, this is the crew to beat. So again, we might have a little bit of a surprise here.
Yeah, because it looks like Notts County are pulling back some of that lead from Sir William Perkins. So this is going to be a very tight race, and it'd be interesting to see if they follow the same tactics as the last 2 races and have got something in the bank at the end.
So, coming past Regatta enclosure, it is still William Perkins, who brought a great contingent here at the Henley Women's Regatta this year, sending their finishers away at a rate of 35 strokes a minute. The stroke woman there, Emily Keane, sending it away very powerfully. But Notts County keeping their rate high as well.
Yeah.
They know that they can still be within touch, but it's going to take a lot of work now. They're running out of water to do it at rate 31. But coming to the end of the regatta enclosure, they're going to have to pull something out the bag.
They are, and they're going to have to make a move right now if they're going to make any dent into this lead. Only a boat length, but that's going to be very hard for them to pull back. And so William Perkins, I've got a commanding position here. They can see what Notts County are doing. If Notts County start to put on a bit of pressure, they can respond immediately. Can see the William Perkins bow girl there just having a word with her crew member, so they're keeping in contact with each other, communication and motivation of each other as they're coming to the finishing stages of this race.
Yes, that one looks pretty secure, but we are seeing at the bottom of your picture the start of the second semi-final for the Junior Double Sculls for the Rayner Cup, race 360 between South Jersey of USA and St George's College. And we're seeing, well, it's still quite close. You see the umpires' boats there as they come past Temple Meadow. Well, they come up to the end of the island. Well, we're seeing the pictures of the I'm trying to find the right name here. South Jersey.
Perkins is at the top.
So I mean, there might be another one in America that sounds something like that, but it is the South Jersey that are just ahead at the moment. But once again, it is very narrow margins.
Okay, well, South Jersey must be feeling a little bit warmer. They were rowing in long sleeves earlier today, so they've taken their long sleeve base layers off. So maybe they're just like warming up to the British weather. They're getting acclimatised.
So. Just getting it, yes.
Getting acclimatised. But they've got quite a good lead here, about half a boat length over St George's College. So both crews still in the running. My money at the moment is on South Jersey College. They look like they're pulling away slightly. St George's College have got a slight steering issue then, moving towards the centre of the course. Umpire keeping a very close eye on them, making sure that the crews stay apart.
Just seeing Sir William Perkins go over the finish line there. They go through to the final, and we find out who is going to take them on in the final of the Junior Double Sculls. At the moment, South Jersey leading the way, Elle Caton and Regan McDonnell. Ella heading off to University of Michigan after this, and Regan to Stanford University. Took control of their race in the quarterfinals, and they're doing the same again here, leading by coming up to about a length of 3/4. The George's College, though, not giving them anything. Third at National Schools Regatta, so they know all about these kind of situations.
Yeah, so there's still great possibilities for both these crews to take this race. South Jersey just moving over slightly away from their booms, so if St George's College put on a little bit of pressure here, the umpires will be looking for the crews just to move slightly apart. There's always a bit of a danger coming away from the boom, and you could see there that they if St George's College speed up a little bit and take some of that lead back, which it looks like they are doing, then there could be a little bit of trouble ahead. But the umpires will keep an eye on that. South Jersey looking very relaxed and comfortable. Look at those nice relaxed shoulders. They've got their heads up. Very upright posture, straight backs. Good to see. Good demonstration of a nice rowing stroke there from these ladies.
They are. They're just taking the race. They're keeping quite a high rate up here, about 37. Maybe a little bit of a delay in the Bowerman's finishes, but they are keeping it nice and together in the water, though. That is the important thing. They are keeping the power of the, when we talk about sort of a parabolic curve is the ideal thing. So your maximum power should be when you take the blade out of the water at the finish. And then just as you're coming towards the catch, that should be the weakest, and then you accelerate it up again to keep an average consistent speed. But they are doing that at the moment. St George's College at the back there. You can see them tugging away at the oars there, putting the legs down, putting the power down. They just can't quite match the composure that they've got in the South Jersey crew.
Yeah, but we've got St George's College continually looking back over their shoulder, so they probably look less composed because South Jersey can just sit there and they've got a perfect view of what St George's College is doing. But St George's College are still looking to see if they can gain any advantage in this race. They've not given up yet, which is fantastic to see. Let's hope they're getting some support from the bank as they're going past the enclosures and into the finishing stages here. That can count for a lot when you're getting tired and feeling the pressure.
Absolutely, yes. They are still keeping themselves ahead. Just seeing at the start as well, they started the Junior 4 semi-finals. On your picture there, you're seeing the composite crew of Glasgow Academy, Glasgow School and St Andrews. And on the Berkshire side, who will come up, who are on their left there of your picture, you can see St Paul's Girls and Tideway Sculler School Composite. The battle of the composites to come. But right now, coming towards the finish, are the two junior double sculls. South Jersey still keeping control of that race, but could St George's put in a late move, Sheila?
Oh, they're difficult to say. At this late stage, have they got anything left in the tank? South Jersey look like they're still very calmly controlling this race, and as I say, they can see exactly what St George's College could do when they make a move. It looks like the rating's gone up now in St George's College. They are definitely putting some pressure on them as they can feel that finish line coming closer and closer. Have they got enough to do it though?
We'll have a look. It looks pretty close, but if we return to the top of the course here at Temple Meadows, my goodness, there's not a lot between these two composite crews. They are almost bow wall for bow wall as they come past us. Absolutely superb from the composite crews. And we will return to that race in just a moment.
Yeah, and we just Jersey go across the line first ahead of St George's College in that last race.
Good afternoon and welcome back to Henley Women's Regatta. If you're just joining us now, myself and Greg will be your commentators for about the next 90 minutes as we finish off the semi-finals and finals of this, the last day of Henley Women's Regatta 2019. Just catching up there with the first of the semi-finals for the Junior 4s. This one here being contested between two composite crews, as you heard from fantastic commentators just a moment ago.
A terrific race to start our duties here, Ed. Coxed 4s. So these girls have to pull a cox down the course as well. And both crews doing really well. Right in the middle of the race, there's nothing in it by the looks of things. Is that composite of St Paul's Girls and Tideway Scullers, and then the Scottish team on the far side. Looks like the Scots might just have it, Ed.
It does, it definitely does. We've seen this quite a few times over the week. Composite cruising incredibly well, as is demonstrated here by reaching the semi-final between two composite crews. And as you said a moment ago, Greg, the Scots here seem to have that edge. So looking a bit tired, you're a bit more comfortable as we come into the latter stages of this race. You see there the composite between St Paul's Girls' School and Tideway Scullers School right in the bottom right hand corner of the screen there. The Cox there shouting commands and trying to motivate their crew just to try and claw back that lead inch by inch, metre by metre.
One of the best races I think we've seen, Ed, and it's going to be close right to the end. They're beginning to wind up now, both crews.
Yeah, you can see they're both crews just taking their stroke rate up, just trying to get every inch out of every stroke as they begin to run out of water. But unless things have changed dramatically in the last few moments, it will be the Scottish composite of Glasgow,
yeah, what a great race.
Glasgow schools.
Great race, well done, both crews, and you can see how much that has taken out of both crews. Fantastic race, as one might expect from a semi-final of Henley Women's. And on the course, now, we switch our attention to the second semi-final of the very well-known strip of Kingston on the far side of the camera, and the home crew, Henley Rowing Club, on the Berkshire Station. And it looks as though Henley have just taken the edge in the start by about half a length. Of course, Henley know this stretch of the river extremely well. This is where they train all the time. But it's a bit different because the river looks very different most of the year than it does from now. And so they won't actually be training on exactly the same piece of water. But Kingston coming back at them and not letting them go. So it was Henley in that start, took out that half a length, and Kingston, knowing that this is where they've really got to stay with Henley, and they're working hard to stay with them so that they can have a bit of a battle in the middle of the race. But Henley have reacted to that. They want to get a length up so that they can look back, all the crew members can look back on them.
Just as they're passing our fixed commentary position here, Henley have just edged out on their opponents from Kingston by about half a length, a lead that they will look to continue to build as they pass through the barrier. The first official timing mark, of course, of Henley Royal Regatta, which will take place down this very course in a couple of weeks' time.
So the local crew of Madeline Pollard, Phoebe Snowden and Carla Russell, Phoebe Fletcher and Shiplake College student Ella Nolson coxing that crew.
I think you've got a bit of an inside knowledge into the Shiplake cox there, Greg.
Well, we know that well, she's an excellent cox. She coxes the 8 usually, but this is the Henley top 4, and so she's come along with them. Kingston working hard, aren't they, just to try to stay with them. It's another close race. Not much in it at all as they approach the last third. Seeing the number 2 girl having a quick skelly, or number 3 girl having a quick skelly over. Just trying to break the Kingston crew, but it's not happening at the moment.
Just as they're passing through the end of the regatta enclosure there, it's easy to forget, sitting here looking at the screens, how dramatic this is out on the water. Just walking up here to the commentary box a few moments ago, the wall of sound and support for each of these crews. I mean, quite an exciting atmosphere. Just see the cox there of the Kingston crew looking over, checking the position of their opposition from Henley. As she tries to encourage her crew just to drain the tanks completely. You can see they're absolutely shouting commands at them. Just they try and cross that finish line first.
She's really pulling them back, isn't she? She's exhorting the Kingston crew. And inch by inch, Kingston are just moving up slightly. I mean, it's difficult to tell from the angle, but I think it's closer than one might expect.
We'll continue to keep an eye on that race, the very tight, dramatic race on the top right-hand corner of your screen at the moment. But if you take a look down, we have the next race, race number 363 on the start line, just going off Temple Island, between Edinburgh University Leander Club and Molesey B against Leander Club.
Well, just going to keep an eye on that Henley Kingston race. We're hoping to get the finish.
You can just see the work.
Yeah,
of
the
Cox
top
there.
right of your screens now. Gosh, Kingston have not given up at all credit to them. And Henley, the mental battle that Henley have been going through, they just haven't been able to shake Kingston off at all. It's Kingston who've taken the rate up a lot higher. They're really throwing everything at it as they approach the final.
Just see that urgency to get the blades in and pull through, just to try and edge Henley out. Not sure I can call this at this stage, Greg.
No, Henley have just kept their composure, I think, haven't they? Gosh.
It does. Just they
Look
come
at that.
past. Henley look to have the lead. Yeah,
There it is, a
half
third of a length, half a length, yeah, fantastic race. And both of those semi-finals will have taken it out of them. So, you know, it's not as if one of the semi-finals was easier than the other. Both really, really hard. So the lactate will be the same in all of the girls' legs for that. Now back to the championship sculls event, one of the quickest races that we'll see on the course.
So we have an all Leander crew on the right hand side of your pictures, fantastic drone shot looking down, and one of the girls in the opposing crew is from Leander as well. You can see they're both amazing shots up here, especially for the quad sculls. Both very, very tidy crews, utilising the technique just to really put down the power and start moving out. Really, really fantastic stuff there. Perhaps slightly surprising that we're seeing the all Leander crew drop back slightly by over a length now. Obviously that crew know this length of water very well, training just down the road from their clubhouse next to Henley Bridge. But as we can see, this composite of 4 different clubs, as they come past us now, are just looking so much cleaner, so much tidier, being able to apply the power. You can see the 2 girl from Leander there calling the commands, motivating her crew onto victory. And although we've lost sight there of their opposition from there, they are just in the top right hand corner now. Leander will be keen to hold on to this composite, trying not to let them go, using the support of their teammates just to try and claw back inch by inch.
Beautiful shot there of wonderful sculling from this composite crew. It looks strong throughout. So we've just been held, this is the actual GB under 23 quad, so no wonder they're going so well. They won recently at Poznan. A beautiful shot of the blades going in at the same time coming out. Wonderful sculling.
Great shot there, just seeing the battles of these 2 crews coming through. Both very high profile crews, the Leander athletes. Obviously famed all over the world. Looking absolutely fantastic there, but just haven't quite got the horsepower in the legs to edge out on the GB under 23 crew racing as individual clubs in this composite crew that is currently dominating this race.
And almost to describe the style there, Ed, as languid
It is so
as they
fluid.
approach the finish.
The most amazing thing about some of these quads, especially those that compete internationally, is just how calm and relaxed they are. Often smiling through the pain. That's what we see sometimes every now and then. But as we watch that one, which is quite likely the victory for the under 23 quad, as just seen there on the top right hand, we move back down to the start for our second semi-final of the day for the championship coxless quads. This time between Tideway Scullers School and London University on the left hand side of your picture, and Molesey Boat Club A on the right hand side.
I strongly suspect that the umpire has gently reminded Tideway Scullers and London University to return to their part of the river. They were crowding out their opposition there for a moment, but it is that composite crew that have got just a third of a length up at the end of the island over Molesey.
Just see the power in the arms of those scullers as they go past, using that just to add that little bit of finesse to the end of the stroke. Great shot there.
Steering a much better line than Molesey steers woman, and the composite just wobbling a bit down the river, and that will have cost him a few inches, but from here, this angle, this wonderful angle, you can see the power that's going down, and I would say that every stroke they take, they're inching away from Molesey, and Molesey are going to have to do something about it now if they're going to make a race of it.
Great shot there, especially you can see the blades of both the University of London with the blue, the purple, sorry, and Thames Rowing Club there with the black and red. Fantastic to see that club representation within this incredibly high profile quad as they come past our quadruple position now, leading out on Molesey by about 3/4 of length, would you say?
Yeah, and they've just put a bit of a push in. They're drifting again over into the middle of the water. I'm just having a look at the umpire, and she's reaching for the megaphone. Yeah, the white flag is nearly raised, but the composite have now been told to get back on your own side. And as we see from that shot, they are moving immediately back to that side. The Molesey are very much not allowing the composite quad to have it their own way, and although that composite quad are just trying to get to that length advantage, they haven't made it just yet, so plenty of energy and effort being put in.
Really, I'm a big fan of these water level shots. You can just see the accuracy with which those scullers place the blades in the water and apply that arc of power that is so indicative of this high level of racing. Quads, of course, some of the fastest boats out on the water, sorry, and we can see that here, absolutely beetling down the course, especially from Tideway Scullers and London University.
They've nearly, Ed, now just about got a length. They're just so determined to try and get that length. It's just a psychological thing. You just get to the length and you're just able to relax a little bit, because that's 3 or 4 seconds that the crew behind have got to make up. So you just feel that just a bit more relaxed.
See again the trademark of this championship event, how relaxed they are, especially in the faces and the upper body as they come down the course. So we'll definitely keep an eye on that one, although we suspect it will be a victory for University of London and Tideway Scullers School. As we flip back down to the bottom left of your picture, as our next race is just leaving Temple Island, the championship 8s between Princeton University on Temple Island side and massive composite there on the left hand side. I imagine this is another under 23 crew, judging by the range of clubs we have in there. GB of course been very successful at recent under 23 championships. The majority of the national team currently being off at Poznan, the second World Cup of the season, which is why we're not seeing some of the most famous names in rowing down here. But still some fantastic rowing going on.
So again, the quickest of all of the events that we've got is the 8th event. It's when the umpire's launch really has to open up a little bit to stick with them. As we suspect the GB composite there out to a length at the quarter mile stage over the Princeton University crew.
Fantastic news for British rowing in general, just seeing how strong we are against one of the foremost collegiate rowing programs in the US, Princeton University. You can see there that great shot of the bucket rig, as we call it in the Princeton crew, just enabling the coaches to harness the power of their athletes, and as they come past, looking probably anywhere between a length and a half and 2 lengths lead for the under 23 8 composite as they pass through the barrier now.
Really is a fine display of rowing here. by the British crew. And that's actually great, isn't it, to see all the different clubs represented. It's the only opportunity really we get to see where they are all from.
And I think every single rower in that boat is from a different club. Just fantastic to see how much cross-representation there is between clubs in the UK coming together to form what at the minute is looking like one of the fastest eights, perhaps the fastest we'll see all day. I've just been told that this is in fact not the under-23 squad, but the Great Britain development squad, which I have to say is even more impressive if they haven't quite made the under-23 boat, but instead here, the development squad still leading out an incredibly strong crew from Princeton University, USA.
Sometimes you don't need words to describe something that is aesthetically pleasing as that. It's just wonderful to watch these athletes looking so... They're just making it look so easy, aren't they?
They are. Like with any sport, when it's done well, it looks easy. Especially easy for us to say. Sitting up here in some nice comfy chairs watching these athletes go at it. But I don't think, unless Princeton have got an engine on board, I don't think they'll be catching that GB development squad anytime soon.
And they've just taken the pressure off now, Ed, haven't they? They've just taken the rate right down. They've done what they set out to do, and almost are beginning their warm down already, aren't they?
They are, yeah. And who could blame them? You know, they will have their later final coming up later today, and they'll want to conserve the energy and remove as much lactate from the blood as possible. So when they get back in the boat later, it won't be quite as painful. Just a quick reminder of the results from the last couple of races in the Championship Quad Sculls. In our first semi-final of that event, the composite of Edinburgh University Leander Club, Molesey and Newcastle University beat Leander Club by 2 lengths, followed by the second semi-final of that event where Tideway Scullers School and University of London edged out over Molesey to win by a margin of 3/4 of a length.
And we're just down at the start again for the second semi-final of this Championship 8 between Lager of the Netherlands and Newcastle University, one of the great student programs that we have in Britain at the moment at Newcastle.
As I walked up here just a few moments ago, I saw this Newcastle crew boating. What struck me most was the composure they have. It's obviously a very well-drilled crew. They know how to get the best out of their racing environment. They know how to get into that zone that allows them just to focus on the task in hand. But despite that, it looks like DSRV Laha from the Netherlands is just getting that upper hand. I wasn't quite sure who's warned there, Greg, by the umpire. So his flag
Well, we didn't really.
away.
I think it might have been both crews to say stay apart, because we didn't see the white flag go either one way or the other. So maybe it was just warning the coxes that there should be plenty of river here for both of them to play on. Just coming up to our commentary position, it is the Dutch crew that have the advantage at the moment. Just a little bit more power on board at the moment.
I think they're all credit to the Newcastle crew, looking very smart and very sophisticated there. I think Laha just look a bit more relaxed in their stroke. They're taking the time really to swing through, whereas Newcastle have that's not stereotypical, but that very defined stroke that the coaches at Newcastle breed. Very strong, punchy stroke that has driven them to victory so many times.
And they're really trying to work hard to get back on terms, aren't they? Their strike rate is just a little higher than the Dutch. They're really trying to get back on board with them. And you can just see the Newcastle Cox absolutely exhorting the athletes there. He's doing, or she's doing everything that they can.
In the immortal words of Molesey, a good crew can win without a cox, but a good crew with the best cox can be the best crew, and that's something we've seen several times today. And the Newcastle cox there paying testament to that, just trying to get that last little power out of her athlete's legs.
Yeah, Charlotte Hill doing a great job there. Quite difficult really for these crews. This is their, their first outing and straight into the semi-final. And all credit to Newcastle, don't you think, Ed, that they've actually in this event and racing, right at the top.
Racing right at the top, racing very near to winning the semi-final. But the Dutch crew, as we'd expect from any overseas crew, they just have that bit of finesse that's given them the confidence to fly out here to test their mettle against some of the heavyweights of British rowing. Of course, should they win this semi-final, they'll go head-to-head with the crew we just saw, the composite crew there, that makes up the Great Britain development squad. Laha just struggling a bit there with the wash from the launches as they go past. Of course, one of the defining features of racing at Henley is that constant changing racing environment, especially down the water where currents and waves and all sorts can throw a crew off. But they seem to have dealt with it well and just extending their lead out over Newcastle. You might just be able to hear in the background there the engines of. There we are.
There we are. It's
fantastic shot.
Magnificent. We had a visit yesterday as well, and just that lovely sound, isn't it? And he'll be coming around. Here it comes. You can probably just pick it up on our microphones.
Almost as exciting as the racing we're seeing unfolding on the river there. Really great to have that support from the RAF there and their historic collection of fighter planes that make visits to many of the premier sporting events throughout the year, such as Henley Women's Regatta, and later on they'll be flying over Henley Royal Regatta in about 10 days' time. So, if you're just joining us this afternoon, welcome to Henley Royal Regatta 2009. So we're going to have a bit of a break in the programme now whilst we wait for our next event, the PR3 single sculls, which will come off the start in a few moments' time. Before then, we're just going to bring you the results of some of the most recent races here at the Regatta. So race 351, the first semi-final for the junior single sculls was won by Buchanan from Glasgow Academy, and in the next one we had Stanhope of Warrington Rowing Club take it home over Cambois Rowing Club Furnace. Following that we had two semi-finals of the Aspirational Championship coxless fours, in which Tideway Scullers School took the lead over Agecroft Rowing Club by a length and a half, followed in the next semi-final by Thames Rowing Club taking the win over Aberdeen School's Inverness Rowing Club Loch Lomond ARC Composite. Following that we had two semi-finals of the Academic Aspirational 8, the first of which was won by Oxford Brookes University over Oxford University Women's Boat Club, the second of which was won by Newcastle University over Durham University. Following that, we had two semi-finals of the Junior Coxless Quads, in which Marlow Rowing Club beat Headington School in the first, and Tideway Scullers School took the win over Henley Rowing Club in the second. We then followed that quickly with two semi-finals of the Junior Double Sculls, in which Sir William Perkins School took the win over NCRA in the first, and South Jersey USA took the win over St George's College in the second. Just a reminder, as we wait for some of the latter races today, that all the races here at Henley over the weekend can be watched live as they happen on our YouTube channel and on demand after the fact. And be sure to keep up with all the latest news from on and off the water on our social media pages on Instagram, Facebook and Twitter.